Viewers and subscribers, you're welcome back again on this platform where we tell you undiluted bitter truth. And sometimes this truth is so bitter for you to take down, to swallow. Especially whenever I mention Trump, many of you get pissed off. Don't skip the video yet, because it's not about Trump. It is about the president of Uganda, who has taken the World Bank to the cleaners. And he told them to their face what they've been doing to undermine African development and growth.
The crisis which is in Africa today is because of philosophical, ideological, strategic, economic mistakes, which we have been talking about since the 1960s. This is not an accident. When you see the crisis in many of the African countries, the collapse of states, we predicted this in the 1960s. Philosophical, ideological, strategic mistakes. I don't have time to amplify each one, but I was very happy to hear the president of the World Bank talking about prosperity instead of profiteering. These were his own words. That's what I picked. This has been the problem. Aid has been for profiteering. This has been the problem. Now, the World Bank people and other groups have been talking of sustainable development. Even in your documents, I have seen those words there, sustainable development. I am now going to be 80 years old. I have never seen sustainable pregnancy, that a woman is pregnant this year, the pregnancy continues the next year, 3 years, 4 years, it never happens. In life, pregnancy develops sustainably within the womb of the woman. Quantitatively, the baby is growing bigger and bigger. But at some stage, quantitative growth must be transformed into qualitative change. The pregnancy must become a baby. If the pregnancy remains pregnancy, the fetus will die. So therefore, I would even ask you to change those words in your documents. Africa does not need sustainable what? You could call it sustainable underdevelopment. Africa needs socio-economic transformation. The pregnancy must become a baby. The baby must grow and become a teenager. The teenager must grow. That's what happens in life. You cannot have quantitative growth and you think you are doing anything. The main reason why there is no growth is because the growth factors are not funded. They are not even understood. What are the growth factors? We now talk of private sector-led growth. Yes, but for the private sector to grow, what does it need? It needs low costs of production. Ministers of Finance, low costs of production. And what are the low costs of production? Number one, transport. The second cost pusher is electricity. The third one, those people who talk about private sector-led growth. I have been trying to borrow money for our UDB, Uganda Development Bank, a bank which funds manufacturers. No, I don't get support for that. Instead, they want my people to go to commercial banks. But commercial banks cannot give, those commercial banks are to encourage imports, because the only person who can borrow money and pay it back from a commercial bank is a trader who goes to China, goes to Dubai, brings products, sells them quickly and pays back. So, if you are serious, I need to hear about the low-cost funding for manufacturing. Now, finally, the loan for, I don't know the situation in other African countries, and I don't have time to talk for a long, I don't have opportunity to talk for long.
Good. This is just a highlight of what he said. I'll be publishing the entire video so that if you are not in a hurry, you will sit back and watch, listen attentively, and understand the root cause of African backwardness. talking about that evil enterprise they call IMF and World Bank, giving Africans loan, giving them aid, aiding their poverty and backwardness. They will never support anything that will benefit Africa. Rather, it is still the same game they played pre-colonial, colonial, and neo-colonial. It has never changed. And thank God there is an African leader that understood these things and is telling them to their face. Look at how their faces turned pale when the man was telling it to them head on. Why did I even mention Trump in the first instance? Trump also identifies the same thing about the World Bank, the World Health, the IMF, and all those so-called international organizations that have been hijacked by these globalists.
The World Health Organization has become nothing more than a corrupt globalist scam paid for by the United States but owned and controlled by China. When the China virus reached our shores 3 years ago, the World Health Organization disgracefully covered the tracks of the Chinese Communist Party every single step of the way. For this reason, it was my great honor to terminate America's relationship with the World Health Organization. The United States was paying the World Health Organization almost $500 million a year. When I dropped out, I took it out of there. And for 330 million people, even though China was paying only $40 million for 1.4 billion people. So we had 330, they have 1.4, and we're paying more than 10 times the amount. That's typical for the United States because they don't know what the hell they're doing. Unfortunately, crooked Joe Biden foolishly re-entered the World Health Organization at the full price and without any negotiations or reforms. And now Biden is pushing to bypass the United States Senate to enter a pandemic treaty that would surrender American sovereignty to the World Health Organization, again controlled by China. The draft treaty would require the United States to send vast quantities of medical supplies to other countries in the event of another pandemic, and it would push aggressive censorship of free speech on issues of public health, just like they censored the truth about the Wuhan lab, which I said that's where it came from, remember. Under the next Trump administration, that treaty will be immediately terminated. I would not allow public health to be used as a pretext to advance the march of global government. That's what they're doing, globalists. The United States will withdraw from the corrupt World Health Organization, which, in light of its utter failure on COVID, they had a tremendous disaster on COVID, deserves to be completely abolished and replaced. Then I will work to forge a new coalition of nations that are strongly committed to protecting health while also upholding sovereignty and freedom. I want to thank you very much, but I also want to say this. I could have renegotiated the deal. I could have gone into the World Health Organization for $25 million. Biden didn't take that deal. He's paying almost $500 million. They were so anxious to get the United States back after I terminated the agreement. They were so anxious to get it back that they offered me a deal, $25 to $30 million. And I said, no, I'll wait. Could have gotten it for less, but I didn't want less at that point. We were paying almost $500 million. Could have done it for $25 to $30. Biden took the almost the $500 million deal. He knew he could have gotten back in for less. So why did he pay so much? But that's just one of many things that are wrong with our country. Thank you very much.
If you think China is doing Africa any good, think twice. They are not different from what others have done. Why will Africa continue to be raped? Why would we make ourselves available? In fact, this one is no longer rape because we deliver ourselves for them to be smashed in Africa because we have failed leadership. That is why the gospel of GGM Africa will continue until Africans understand this, beginning with getting the right people into power. Let them do that like their life depends on it. Let them fight with their blood to liberate themselves from bad political class and bad governance. Until then, Africa will never be free. Africans will continue to be slaves to the Western world, using their modern immigration rule to extract the best of Africa in the name of high-skilled migrant, and the rest of those rubbish. Whenever I see all this advertising, come to America, American dream pursue, European dream, and the rest of them, all targeting Africa. They are best of medical doctors, they are best of professionals, they are best of engineers, they are best of sportsmen, everything, they are best. They extract them. They will serve their interests, and when they are old, they bring them back to Africa for burial. Well, I just want to say this because I'm a Pan-Africanist, and I just hope this video will hit the right chord for Africans to understand these things and get involved in the message of GGM we are preaching here. I'll be publishing the entire video on court, what he told these guys. I just want to put this one up as a highlight for those of you who are always in a hurry. But that one, don't be in a hurry to watch it to the end and help me share it to every African, because that is where our liberation as Africans will begin. What's your take on it? Drop it in the comment section. Promise me you will share this video to everyone. Drop your comment on the comment section. Let me have your opinion on this. I still remain Asuchine Peters, the advocate for good governance and the Pan-Africanist for life. Bye-bye for now. GGM, uniting the people for good governance.